And now I have the pleasure of introducing the community to Michael Berman. Michael, welcome to Face.
Hi, hi, Dale. It's very nice to be here. Quite
Uh,
excited.
yeah, I know you're burning the midnight oil, right?
Gee whiz, it's what's the time? It's 25 to 1 a.m. in Sydney, Australia at the moment,
All
and
right.
it's amazing. I had a webinar last night which was at 4 a.m. So it seems like we're on the arse end of the world, and yeah, uh,
It,
it's all
it's
good.
really it's really great to meet you. And Michael
Likewise.
reached out to me on LinkedIn to
Yeah,
check out his letter, and it's called Signal to Noise News is his
yeah.
handle on X, right?
That's it. Uh,
Okay.
I'm, I, I must tell you, Dale, you're the first person I've ever engaged with on Twitter in with a DM. So
Oh,
um, you're quite the master at that. I'm more old school than you there.
all right. Well, you know what? Here's what I was thinking, and that's how ironic life could be. I go, well, Michael's reached out to me a couple times on LinkedIn. You know what? I'm gonna I'm gonna put him on the air and give him some visibility. And then I'm looking at your stream,
Yeah,
and you're one of three coaches recommended by Peter Brandt, which is a very strong recommendation when Peter he doesn't give people the nod.
yeah,
I've interviewed Peter. I've met him. I know Jack. I've interviewed him.
yeah,
So
yeah.
congratulations on being held in high
Well,
regard by him.
yeah, yeah. I met Peter a number of years ago, about 6, 7 years ago. I was invited to give a talk at the CMT symposium. I think could it have been the 50th anniversary or something like it was quite one of their big milestone symposiums on Wall Street, and I gave a talk there, and yeah, we struck up a friendship, and I think I presented some statistics that he had never seen before, and it kind of grabbed his attention, and yeah, we've been chatting ever since, and yeah, he's the real deal. I tell you, if anyone can trade half as well, not even a half, if you can trade a tenth as well, you're gonna knock it out the park as Peter. If you can
Yeah,
mimic Peter.
he, he and there's nothing real fancy about what he does.
No,
He's really a classic technical guy.
yeah,
And we talked about trading methodology of how he likes to take partials and move to break even as soon
yeah,
as possible to take all the heat out of the trade. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey, Michael?
yeah. So
Who do you blame for you getting involved in this business?
okay, well, I'm actually going to blame my mother because I, I started I started I, I started trading when I was 13. Took my bar mitzvah money, and my mother was a bit of a gambler, and
Okay.
and and I remember I bought a manganese mine. I remember it was called Samancor, and I did very nicely. And from then I was pretty much hooked. But I'll just take you through my journey. I think um, I've covered so many different aspects of the industry. I really feel like I've seen. I want to say I've seen it all. Obviously, I haven't seen it all, but I've seen a wide variety of this industry. So just by way of my background, I, I I actually started off in the corporate real estate world, and I had a really good career at an investment bank and all that kind of stuff. And I was motivated um, to I just wanted to do something that was not reliant on management, that it was like the ultimate meritocracy where I could be
Yeah.
rewarded for what I did, and I didn't have to kiss ass in the corporate
Yeah.
world, just that kind of stuff. So anyway, I managed to convince this investment bank to set me up on the proprietary desk, and and then this is in 2001, and I was kind of hooked since then. And interesting, I saw your earlier analysis Gregor's analysis of Elliott wave. I think I've made and lost more money with Elliott wave. There's not a knock. I'm not knocking Elliott wave. I think I probably gave 20 years of my career. I was either a closet Elliott waver or I was a very vocal Elliott waver. So it was actually very nice seeing those wave counts. I haven't done it. I haven't traded Elliott wave for a number of years. But anyway, I started trading on a proprietary desk. I then managed to set up my own hedge fund, manage money with institutional money for a while. I'm South African born, but been in Australia nearly 20 years. And when we moved to Australia, I started just managing high net worth individuals' money, and
Yeah.
and basically did that for a fairly long period of time. Let's call it 10 plus years. And I'd like to say I was the best trader. I don't think that would be a fair assumption. I had good periods, but I made classic mistakes along the way as well, where I gave back, too much in drawdown and had to deal with all those kind of consequences when you got clients withdrawing funds and all that kind of stuff. But also had some incredible years, and been able to, thank God, live a very nice lifestyle based on eating what I've killed, for want of a better analogy. But what happened in 2012 was I'd been like, let me call it, I'd been seeding with, I had a very wealthy partner that was a bit of a gambler, and he liked to allocate money to traders. And he had no process. He loved, if somebody came with a good story, straight away he transferred money, and you were up with a few $1,000,000, and you were trading. And I said, well, let's do something a little bit more systematic. And in 2012, I set up a company called RAPPER. It stood for Risk and Profit Analyzer, and basically it became an online incubation platform for traders. And we raised about $60 million, and I had I was the CEO and co-founder, and I had two other partners who were mathematicians. So we were 3 PhDs, and we developed a proprietary scoring metric, which we called the Rapper score. And basically, for want of a better word, I'll call it a super duper Sharpe ratio. And we really believed in this, and we allocated money based on your Rapper score. And we allocated money to people all over the globe. One or two original second school of turtles. The one name that comes to mind, Ken Jabersack. I don't know if you ever came across him, from Chicago. And we had a number of guys, and we then we actually. I'm going to jump forward a bit, because we partnered with Jack Schwager from Fundseeder at the time, and it went its own course. We exited, and I won't go into all the gory details of that. But this is now end of 2015, 2016. I had this like vision of building the world's first robo trading coach. And we needed data, and I managed to convince a number of brokers to share some of the data. I knew I couldn't build the ultimate strategy that would be able to produce alpha, but I knew that if I mined enough of the data, I could find patterns that would, let's say, describe mistakes that traders were making. And I was also able to identify where people who were profitable, what are some of the characteristics that they did. So the company was called Psyquation, stood for psychology and equations. Myself and my partner Vlad, a Ukrainian guy, we developed the technology, and startups are hard. It was a new idea. I got all the major, let's say, CFD brokers became partners of ours, and all the big names came on board. And then one particular broker said they wanted to acquire us, and we were acquired in 2018. And I had a 3-year contract with the sale, and the corporate world wasn't for me again. Like, it was lovely in the first 18 months. I enjoyed having a balance sheet. Here was a guy who was, bootstrapping and all that kind of hard yards. We had a team of 25 developers, so feeding everyone was tough, and it was all. I'd like to say it was all on my shoulders. We had, I had partners, but it was hard. Yeah, somebody's saying
Yeah.
South African English. Yes, that's me. Was born and bred in South Africa, been in Australia nearly 20 years. And then while I was running this software platform, we had over 50,000 live accounts connected to our system. So it was like this living, breathing organism that was sucking in data and learning, and it was pretty impressive. But at the same time, we also developed a score. It became a Psyquation score. It was a totally different approach to the Rapper score, which was a top down. This was a bottom up, and I took over the running of the incubation platform. I set up what's called Axie Select, and seeded well over 100 traders with capital. I'm sure lots of your listeners would, or your community members would have been, let's say, potential candidates for this. And basically, if you had a Psyquation score that met a certain criteria, you got money. It was a very streamlined process. Nothing like, you didn't have to pay for it. It was nothing like these prop arcades where people are buying money and they keep 90%. I don't know. To me, the numbers don't make any sense. Like, who's going to give you 90% of and take all the risks? So it's clearly it's a Ponzi scheme. And I'm not saying to people who are looking for capital that they shouldn't use those facilities, because you might be able to make some money and all that. But it's certainly not something that I'm a great believer in. By the way, Peter Brand's very, very anti that space.
Yeah, I've seen his tweets.
Yeah, he gets quite worked up.
Yeah, I was looking at your charts in your stream,
Yeah,
and I haven't seen charts like that. And I'm wondering if you could put a
yeah,
few up.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm going to share
very
my.
interesting. Yeah, go ahead,
I'll,
Mike.
I'll share. I'll share my screen. Just,
Okay, got it.
Cam, just to confirm, I just want to know what you guys are seeing. Are you
Seeing
seeing a tape?
yeah, signal to noise up on top, macro tools,
Okay,
newsletters.
great,
Is this
great.
your
Yeah,
website?
yeah. This is the website. Just
Okay.
if, I'm starting out, so if you get to get my daily newsletter, it's free. Just free's a
Okay.
good price.
All right.
With Black Friday, everyone being touted around here. So, are you referring to? I'll just show, when you say like these charts, or were you saying like some of the other stuff that I was sharing?
Well, what you had on your Twitter feed,
Okay, yeah.
yeah,
So what I'll do, I'll just actually highlight. I'll go to today's letter actually, where
okay.
I think you kind
Yeah,
of
there you go.
so
Yeah,
so
yeah. I couldn't
I've
read all the writing on it, but
okay, yeah.
okay.
So I'll just tell you what's going down on, no, not down, going up on this one. So this is the S&P. This is the S&P
Right.
500, and it's had a
Okay.
7-day streak where it's gone up 7 days in a row, and basically it was 70 days since the last time it went up. And if believe it or not, looking at 50 years worth of data, it's done this 100 times. And if you held it, in other words, if after after a 7-day streak, if you held it for 5 days, you'd make 0.1%. If you held it for a month, you'd make 1.7%. This is taking 50 years worth of history.
Okay.
And basically it's looking at those 100 counts, and it's doing, it's just doing all the statistical analysis for you. And if you held it for 3 months, etc., etc. and this is, it won 55% of the time. It lost obviously 45, but this is what the average win was 0.9%. The average loss was 0.9, and you can kind of see the statistics. So there's positive. If you traded that, there would be positive. It's not taking commissions into account, but obviously if you're holding it for a longer period of time. I'm not saying this is this is my whole idea behind signal to noise, is that this is a signal beyond the noise. When you've got 100 samples,
Yeah.
and you've got some
plenty of evidence. Yeah, plenty of evidence, right?
In fact, just one particular one that I highlighted the other day. Just want to share.
Okay,
By
the gold.
Way, I do like to poke a bit of fun at the establishment. Just so I can't remember who, some big name in the industry was making a big thing about gold going above the 50-day moving average. So I said, okay, so what? And I did some analysis, and basically what I did, I want to just see how far I went back. Okay, I went back to like 1980 odd. And what I did is I said, okay, if you sold gold when it was below the 50-day moving average, and you only held it when it's above the 50-day moving average, over how many years is that? That's like 40 odd years. How much would you have made? You would have only made 80%. Whereas if you bought and held, you would have made 760%. My point being here is that you actually made all the money. The strategy, gold made almost all of its money when it was below the 50-day moving average. So
interesting.
My whole thesis is, don't get carried away by loose talk when people throw around big or exciting.
Because that's noise, right, Mike? That's what you're saying.
Absolutely. So I'm saying, I'm correct. So if I went back to my I also use charting software, but if you look at on my site under the in the chart gallery, you'll see everything here is very clean. There's nothing on here, and it's just a line. I'm looking at 1 year, and it's very different to obviously where you're looking at Fibonacci, trend lines, wave counts, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not knocking all of that, because it has its place for whoever uses it, and if they use it well, good for them. But in my
it's
case,
not the car, it's not the vehicle, it's the driver.
Exactly. So once again, like, here's that theme of signal to noise. I find it very noisy to see too much on the chart. So I just, what I do is, if I looked at it, this is just looking at 1 year. And I try and say to myself when I'm looking at this, like, what is this chart? What do I think is likely to happen? Now, obviously, there's bias in when I make an assessment on that. But I mean, I'm just sharing with you some of those things. One of the things that I think is really important is what I do here is, by the way, those charts are all handcrafted in Python. So basically, I've coded it that it's very quiet and what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I try and stay away from getting too excited because this person said that and that person said that. It's important for me to be very focused on my process. Anyway, I just wanted to share that. If I maybe just to complete where I get to this journey, because I'm close to there. I didn't finish off, and I know that we're probably running out of time, and I don't know if I'm boring your audience with my background, but
it's excellent, Michael. Go ahead. People, you asked that. People are going, how do we reach Michael? Repeat Michael's Twitter for me. So,
yeah.
Uh,
So thank you. Well,
all right.
it's you know, maybe it's a good time to so when I sold Psyquation and I did my time, um, I'm sure some people listening are here in doing time. Like that's what it felt like, to be honest with you. It felt like I was doing time. Um, and it was a very nice job, but it was too corporate for me. So I an old partner, the guy who liked to allocate money to all these traders, said to me, Michael, come on, let's go again. Let's do something together. So I said, okay, but I want to be the broker this time. So I set up a MT5 broker, CFD broker. It was called Ditto Trade, and it it was the whole idea behind it was, yes, we did broking, like you could trade the futures and all this kind of stuff, but the whole idea was copy trading. Well, it was to make people become fund managers and get capital behind them, because I'd successfully run Axie Select. We had allocated money to people we had never met. We just had this algorithmic process, but we had really good money management on top of it, and we made money, even though these were retail traders who had very limited experience. And many of them blew up, but we still were able to, as a group, as a pot, make money. So basically, I set up Ditto Trade, and yeah, starting a new, once again, startup, tough, all those kind of things. I mean, what I was paying in market data fees, I'd never been the broker myself, always worked with the broker. And before I knew it, I think I was paying $10,000 a month in market data fees and all this kind of stuff. It was very expensive. And my partner, Lance, at the time said, why don't you just meet this guy who runs one of his other brokers? Anyway, I'm not going to mention the name. You can look it up. But they acquired me, and I became the CEO of this broker. It was focused on the Asian market, and it was all good in the beginning, but me and this particular guy didn't get on well. So it ended in a divorce, business divorce, and then I kind of at the same time just have to add this because it will just give you some color in terms of who I am. And uh, when Vlad and I both left our corp once we had sold Psyquation, we set up also a high frequency market making business called True Alpha Ventures for the crypto market, basically trading market making for Bitcoin futures. And 3 years of development, I'm telling you, it was hard as, and still hard. And we trade a lot. I mean, there we put in maybe 3 orders a second. So that business was acquired earlier this year by a company in Melbourne, company called Zero Cap. Some of you guys might have come across it. Anyway, so I've got a broad spectrum of covering the markets. I'm writing every day about the markets, and
So what's your
so
business model? What are you looking for? Subscribers or
so
are people to coach?
yeah, so thanks for asking that. So my business model is I've got one sponsor at the moment, company called Trade Nation. You know, with all these companies, the one thing when you sell a company is you sell the database and you sell the clients and all that. So from Psyquation having like 100,000 people, I started with one, my mother. My mother was my first reader, still gives me a daily commentary every time she reads. She reads it. So yeah, I've got one sponsor.
Did your mother churn herself in the market? Oh,
My, my,
Michael, come on, tell me.
no, my mother's the most professional gambler you'll ever meet. She's a world class bridge player. So it's
Okay.
funny.
Yeah.
My father was a doctor, and he taught me how to do technical analysis. Like I said, he was very into technical analysis and charts,
Yeah.
and he had all the. When he got home from surgery, he was checking out the charts. So yeah,
Bellies.
It's
Yeah,
so,
so you had
so
you had like mentors. You have it in your DNA.
yeah. Look, what people say, like, because living with risk is trading is all about dealing with risk and accepting that you're going to lose money, because without losing money you're not going to make money. So it's that kind of mindset. So Dell, in a nutshell, my business model going forward is yeah, I'd like, the more people that subscribe the to my newsletter, the more evidence I've got to go to sponsors and say to them, guys, because I would like to keep it free, and that's my intention. I've developed a coaching approach. I've got one story, if you don't mind. Am I over
No,
time?
go ahead.
Okay. So when I started trading in 2001 professionally, I'd read the Market Wizards books by Jack Schwager, and I'd come across this. I came across this guy, Dr. Van Thorp, and it was very interesting to me that he has a trading psychologist. I'd never heard of a trading psychologist. Anyway, I was living in South Africa at the time, and I said, I want to be the best at what I'm doing. If if the good guys are getting trading psychologists, I'm going to get one as well. So I phoned the Medical and Dental Association in South Africa and asked them, can you put me in touch with a trading psychologist? They said they've never heard of such a thing. So anyway, they put me in touch with this one doctor, and he said, look, he doesn't know, this isn't his field, but he wants to put me in touch with this one guy. Anyway, I called this guy. Turns out he's a sexologist, but he became my trading coach for the next 10 years. So it was quite funny that I landed up at a sexologist for trading. But he was a peak performance coach, and he said he could help me. He could help me with my trading. So anyway,
Peak
I
performance, huh? Okay, wow. All right. Yeah, I
okay,
like it. Without
yeah,
without chemicals, right?
yeah,
All
exactly,
right.
exactly. With the
Anyway,
mind, yeah.
what's his phone number? Anyway, anyway,
Well,
Michael, really a
thank you,
pleasure meeting you,
thank, thank you, Dale.
and yeah, I'd like to have you back, and we
Yeah,
could
thank you.
do this again. And
Sure.
so people, this is free.
Yeah,
Best way is just to go to Michael's website,
yeah.
signal to noise
Noise
dot
dot.
news dot com.
No, just dot news.
Oh, dot news. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
I'm glad our paths crossed. How's that on LinkedIn?
absolutely. Thank you. And I thoroughly enjoyed. You can see I've spent too much time in a closet that I need to get out a little bit more.
Oh, well, a guy told me early in my career, said, Dale, make your money in the closet. In other words, don't flash it, right?
Yeah, that's
Stay quiet about it and drive an old car. Probably
yeah,
never been more important now. You don't want to
yeah,
be a target. But Michael,
absolutely.
really,
Thank you.
after going through an interview with me, you're now my trading warrior brother.
Okay, awesome. Look forward to spending more time.
Shalom, Michael.
Okay, all the best, Shalom.
All right. Michael Berman, everyone, check him out at Signal to Noise News
Dot.
on X and
Yeah,
go to his website. It's free.
yeah.
I'm going to do it. And
Please
all right, Mike, and keep in touch.
take
All
him.
right,
Cheers,
buddy.
mate. Bye
Michael,
bye.
all right. And
Bye.
everyone have a great, if you're here, an American, have a great Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
Enjoy
happy
the,
Thanksgiving.
yeah, enjoy the quiet time before the inauguration. Anyway, it's already, looking forward to trading Trump tariff tweet market, Michael?
Um, um, yeah, yeah. I think inflation's on its way back. So
Okay. All right. All right. So we're going to have some great commodity markets and
yeah,
a tumbling dollar eventually,
yeah,
right? All right.
yeah, yeah.
All right,
Okay. All the
Mike
best.
Berman, everybody. I'm glad I met him, and I'm glad I brought him to you. Check him out. That's a wrap for me. Remember, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. And if you're here, that means you have risk capital to trade. So be grateful. A lot of people do not have that and are trying to make a decision between medicine and rent. So again, I'll see everyone. I'm not sure if I'm going to be here Friday or not, but for sure Monday, we'll lay it all out on the court again. Adios, everyone.
Hey traders, this is Blake Morrow with Forex Analytix. Thanks for stopping by our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like these videos, share them, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of the content that we provide here for free. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the next video.